Hey, everyone who's watching. We're here with Dan Fogler. He is an American actor, comedian, and writer. He has appeared in films such as Balls of Fury, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, as well as wrote and directed films such as Hysterical Psycho. Today, he is here to talk to us about his graphic novel anthology, Moonlake. So, Dan, in your own words, how would you describe the world of Moonlake?
Oh, wow. Okay, so Moonlake is my homage to really Heavy Metal Magazine, Heavy Metal the movie, Twilight Zone, Tales from the Crypt, Creep Show, Amazing Stories, all these things that I stayed up late past my bedtime to watch as a kid. And um, and then just like the movie Heavy Metal, there's the Lochnar. That's the narrator that weaves in throughout all of the different short stories.
Right.
And I want to do that, and I was like, so who's my narrator? And I thought the Man in the Moon. He's this, and my Man in the Moon is this. He's like Hitchcock on acid. He's been abducted from a young age for his ability to spin a yarn, and he was kidnapped, taken to the moon, and now he does this show for all of the gray aliens that are in the audience there for their entertainment, and it's the many tales from Moonlake, from prehistoric times into the distant future. And Moonlake is this place that is on the border of Canada and America. So it's on like this ley line, and anytime you're on any ley lines, any crossroads, Native American burial grounds, and there's energetic activity. So this is a place that's displaced from time, much like the island in Lost.
Right.
Yeah, where you go there and you can't get out, and even if you get out, you get pulled back in, and it's like this magnet, and it's this endless labyrinth, endless, each character is their own rabbit hole, and I thought, yeah, let's turn the dial up on that. So that's where a lot of the comedy comes from, where you have characters like Sasquatch with like the personality of like a Hunter S. Thompson hanging out, fighting alongside, prehistoric cave girls and her pet zombie T-Rex, and you have all, and it's just, for me, it's just like this goulash of all of my favorite conspiracies and all of my favorite creature features, and it's just a place where all these things exist. Yeah, did you get a chance to look at it? Did you read it?
Yes, I did read it before coming to this, so I'm glad you mentioned a bunch of that stuff. The cave girl at the end, I thought that was real gnarly.
Hey, yeah.
It's pretty brutal, not gonna lie. There's a lot of gore in there, which I'm a huge fan of horror, so.
Yeah, Cave Girl is one of my favorite characters. She's probably the most powerful character in the whole thing. She goes on to become a powerful sorceress, and like really is like turns the tide during the apocalypse. But this is much later.
Yeah.
It's cool is that it's not there. It's an anthology series, but like I said, it's all woven together with the narrator, and there are characters that pop up in other people's stories. And as the volumes go on, you start to realize, oh, it's actually jigsaw puzzles that come together to create an even larger story here. And so that's where I'm going with this. It does tell they are part of a singular story, even though it seems like all of their individual stories are separate, but they somehow link together. And I always wanted to do something like that. And I say it again.
What was the inspiration behind doing it like that?
Okay, well, I did this movie called Hysterical Psycho, which was the first movie I ever directed. And that was like my homage to Hitchcock, to Psycho. But it's, it's very silly. It's, it's more like Army of Darkness,
Right.
But that takes place at Moon Lake. That's how I created the universe. The man in the moon is in it. He's the narrator. He's animated, and it's about this group of friends that go up to, this cabin in Moon Lake, and one of them goes nuts. They all go nuts in their own way, but in their own very specific ways. But the main psycho goes nuts, and he kills everybody. And I thought, oh shit, if I can tell one story that happens at Moon Lake, why couldn't I tell just a million stories that happen at Moon Lake over time, and then I took the hint from heavy metal. I was like, well, if I converted this into a magazine, I would want it to feel like Heavy Metal the movie, where everything was kind of connected, and the characters, it's like a big web, and everyone's connected to each other. So that's where it originally came from. This movie that I directed, and then I did that, and then I published with Archaea, Black Label, and I took it. The first con I was at and I was signing at, I took it over to Heavy Metal booth.
Yeah.
I gave them a signed copy, and I said, this is dedicated to you guys. I wouldn't have had this idea if I didn't watch Heavy Metal the movie and read the magazine. So, this is for you. And I gave them a copy, and they were like, we like you. And they've been letting me squat at their booth for the last 10 years, man. It's amazing. Whether I had a comic book or not, or whether I was, whether it was a big year and I was doing The Walking Dead or Fantastic Beasts or whatever, or I was just there and I just did a story, in the magazine, that year. It's like they just always had a spot for me, and now it's crazy. They're doing 3 titles. Brooklyn Gladiator and Fishkill and Moon Lake. And I'm like, it's crazy to me that's happening.
Yeah.
It's really quite special. And I'm very proud of the work. And they believe in me. So I really hope that people dig it.
Well, I don't see why they wouldn't, especially if they're fans of horror. Like I said, I thought all of the stories are great, and you don't pull any punches in it.
No. Did you see any of the new stuff? There's Did you?
Of Broken Gladiator, Fish to Kill?
Fishkill, Brooklyn Gladiator, and Moon Lake. Well, everything's going to have new stuff, but Moon Lake, the way we're doing it is, there's going to be volume 1 that comes out, and that's going to have material from volume 1, but it's also going to include like 50 pages of bonus material. And then the next volume is volume 2, and that's going to include another 50 pages of bonus material. And I have about 200 pages of previously unpublished material that I've been putting together over the years.
Right.
So I'm excited for people to start reading that new stuff. And of course, Brooklyn Gladiator is all new. Well, volume 0 has been out in the world, but now volume 1 is coming out. So that's very exciting. That's Simon Beasley, and that's just, that's my dystopian cautionary tale. And then Fishkill is the prequel to that, which is about what's happening right now.
Yeah?
Yeah. And it's a modern noir with a little bit of sci-fi, because it's the seeds that are sown to make Brooklyn Gladiator.
Right.
But yeah, we wrote it a couple years ago, 2 years ago, and you would be amazed. You'd be like, "What? It seems like you wrote this last month," because it's just very prophetic. And
When you
we
wrote
had
it, did you imagine that it would actually come to fruition in the real world?
I was just thinking of a world that would like a timeline to put in place that would lead to Brooklyn Gladiator. And while I was writing Brooklyn Gladiator, I was just like, well, shit, man, we're living in the dystopian sci-fi movie right now. It's like, so I was like, I better write about that. I better write about it now.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. You look at, I mean, we, the whole lockdown, the idea of martial law,
Yeah.
the whole mandatory flu shots, and all this stuff is brought up. It's yeah, there's the riots, the protesting, yeah, it's crazy.
It's got it all, and it's timely.
It's extremely timely. And the only way I can say, like, yes, we wrote this at least 2 years ago was because we got Ben Templesmith to do the art.
Right.
And he doesn't work that fast, okay? So that we created this a couple of years ago, and it has a lot of the things have come to fruition, and it's freaky that a lot of it has. This is definitely it's definitely an alternate universe that I'm portraying here, but the similarities are eerie.
Yeah. So what got you into the horror genre?
Oh, fuck. What got me into horror genre? Wow. Yeah. I guess when I was a kid, I saw the original Frankenstein, black and white.
Yeah.
And it scared the fucking shit out of me. Scared the shit. I was watching it like this.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
And I had nightmares.
And you were like, more.
Well, my dad goes to me because he knew I love comedy. And he goes, yeah, I guess that movie was a little intense, huh? He goes, but you like Mel Brooks, right? And I go, yeah, I love Mel Brooks. And he goes, well, let me show you Young Frankenstein. And then I saw, if you turn the sound off on Young Frankenstein, that monster's fucking scary.
Mm-hmm.
But you turn it on, on the rinse, it's like, it's hysterical.
Yeah.
So my family very intelligently realized that if you just show it from another perspective, you turn the sound off on Frankenstein, the actual Frankenstein, and you realize, you start to see, that's makeup, and that's, and if you put a laugh track under it, then it's fucking hysterical. It's like, and I started to get a perspective about movie making, and I started to get a perspective about, if you just, change a few things, you can make a comedy, or you can make it scary, or you can, and that's what Hitchcock was doing. Hitchcock he didn't know what his genre was. He was like, maybe I'll do comedy. And then it's because he was making comedies and they weren't working. And he did there's a shot where he had a great personality, and Hitchcock, the lead actor, was like fucking up his line or something, and you see Hitchcock's hands come in from the side and start choking him, and then everyone's laughing, whatever. But then if you watch that without sound, Hitchcock looked at him and goes, "Oh my God, I can make this into a thriller. This comedy is not working, but I can make this into a thriller." And so I just think that's so amazing. Like it's laughing. You go to a horror movie and you laugh. Sometimes you laugh because you're scared. It's a very thin line between fear and comedy for some reason. And so Gremlins,
Yeah.
All of these movies that even that's comedy and that's horror. I never really went for the straight horror. Like I love Freddy Krueger.
Mm-hmm.
He was hysterical though. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know, but he had some great one-liners.
Yeah.
I love the very charismatic slashers. Never got into Jason Voorhees because he didn't fucking say anything,
Right.
But I love a good werewolf. The Howling. Oh my god, that movie! All the transformations in The Howling freaked me out.
Yeah.
And then I saw American in Paris, which basically had the same transformations, even scarier in some situations. But that was fucking hysterical. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
Weird. So I grew up, and I guess my favorite is Jaws. My favorite, but I don't know if you would call that a horror movie. The monster is this shark,
Right.
but you don't really see it that much. But that movie scared the shit out of me. I can't go into the ocean without a sharp rock,
Right. Sometimes it's the suspense itself that's scary.
Yeah, Psycho. I mean, that's what that was all about. Yeah, sometimes you don't even see the monster. Yeah, genius filmmaking. And Tales from the Crypt, like I used to watch that. That was also the Crypt Keeper was hysterical.
Yeah.
But some of those stories are fucking scary, really scary. And that was a show that sometimes the episode was funny, scary, and sometimes it was scary, scary.
Right.
You never knew what you were going to get. Yeah, I grew up watching all those, monster mashups, and I grew up in a really fun time in the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what had you choose the graphic novel format for these books?
Well, I'm a graphic novel is classy comic books,
Yeah.
it's like a classy bound, presentation. And I grew up on great graphic novels, and really when you're starting out, unless you are known, you got to put a graphic novel out first.
Mm-hmm.
See how it goes, and then maybe they'll put it out as a trade here, a single issue there. I've just gotten to that point with Fishkill and Brooklyn Gladiator. Like, this is the first time I'm actually going to be like, oh my god, I'm putting out a single. That's even more exciting to me, to put out a single issue, because that means you're building it.
Yeah.
You put a single issue out on Comic Book Wednesdays every month or whatever it is. That was very exciting to me. And then you get all the issues, you put them into a trade, and then you collect all the trades, you put them into a big graphic novel. That's building. That's building a universe. That's how I see it. It's very exciting to me when it's step by step like that.
What are the major similarities and differences between writing movies and writing comics?
They're very similar. Writing comics, making comics is like storyboarding, in movies, and do storyboarding as well. But I always say they're cousins of each other, whereas the movie is like a full song.
Mm-hmm.
The comic book is a haiku. It's just like you have to distill it down to the exact images you don't have a whole, action sequence to tell your fucking story. You got 2 pages, so you have to, and I like to, I've given myself like a formula where I do, no more than like, no more than, I like to do 5 panels a page, 6 or 7, maybe 8, I feel like is a lot. But, and depending on the artist, but I feel like if I give myself that formula, it doesn't get too muddied, But you look at something like East of West, which I love, and you have like 25 fucking panels to a page, It's just like, so to each their own, and it totally works, so everyone has their own style, everyone has their own method. So I guess in a nutshell, comic books are the distilled version of a movie. I don't know, but it's like distilled down version, the tangible version of a movie where you can hold it in your hand, but a movie is it's like talking about the 4th dimension compared to the 3rd dimension. It's like making a movie. There's so many more layers, and it takes a really long time to make a movie, and that's why making comic books is so great, because in a relatively short amount of time, you can have it in your hands and hold it and like, it's finished. Holy shit! You feel like you've done something. Yeah, making movies. You can make comic books with 2 people. Me and the artist.
Yeah.
The writer and yours, and movies. It takes there's a lot of many different crews.
Right. What's it like collaborating with the different writers and artists like you did on Moonlake?
That is cool, because it gave me just like a great pool of artists to work from and just a roster of great people that I can like call upon to come and work on my new stuff, but it's also like, if you have enough great artists, like I said, Temple Smith takes his time, Beasley takes his time,
Yeah.
And multiply that by 20 artists. You're trying to make a deadline.
Yeah.
It gets a little tricky. But I love the finished product. I love looking at all the different styles and all the different contributors. It makes me very happy. Yeah, I've always been a fan. Like I said, I've always been a fan of heavy metal, so I always like seeing all the different styles and in one book, and it doesn't get boring, It's, yeah.
What do you think was the best and most difficult part about creating Moonlake?
Ooh, the best part was bringing these characters to life on the page, obviously. Seeing that it all kind of worked, and that was my first comic book. I was like, oh my god, I'm a published comic book creator. That was like you have certain milestones in your life, and that was a big one.
Yeah.
You get this validation,
Right.
And to see that the characters, they actually work and they're cool, and then people dig them. They might go on to, become animated or something.
Yeah.
It's very exciting.
So from there then, what do you think was the most thought-provoking about writing this, or just the content of the story?
The most thought-provoking. Well, each story, even though it's, it's I like to call I used to like to say the sugar with the medicine.
Yeah.
Each story is very it's out there. They're out there, but at the core are real conspiracies. Real topics from the headlines. Aliens. Did we land on the moon?
Bigfoot.
Say what?
Bigfoot.
Well, sure, Bigfoot. That's and hybrid.
Yeah.
Creatures and secret societies and all shit that is worthy of jumping down rabbit holes and getting lost. And Moon Lake is a conspiracy theory. I used to describe it as like a conspiracy theorist dream, man. It's like each story has some link, some branch off to some rabbit hole that you can get lost in.
Yeah.
So yeah, it brings up interesting topics, even though you got some some wacky characters talking about them. They're definitely intriguing.
Yeah. So with the narrator, our man on the moon,
Yeah.
we see him always about to tell these stories. What do you say his day-to-day life would be when he's not doing the show?
Oh, the poor guy. um, the man on the moon has gone loony. He's and so half the time he's talking to the audience of Grays, and the other time he's talking to us, the reader.
Right.
Who is that? Is he talking to himself? Like, who the fuck?
Yeah.
And his only company are these Grays, these gray aliens that he siphons off. And they're his they're his Ed McMahon, except they don't really talk.
Right.
So they have a short lifespan. He props them up at a drum kit, and they do every time he does a joke, they do like a drum riff for him. Mm-hmm. And then when they eventually kick the bucket, he eats them for nourishment. That's his day to day. That's how he's surviving. And here, don't tell anybody, but when one of the amazing products that comes out of Moon Lake is moon cheese.
Right.
Moon cheese is this just delicious dairy product, but it doesn't come from cows. It comes from aliens. And so that's my like Soylent Green reference,
Right.
Moon cheese is aliens. So he's surviving on aliens, and he is often, if he sees something that the aliens are doing, like yes, it's not just an innocent show that they're putting on. They're also trying to invade Earth. So whenever he sees them getting very close to succeeding, he climbs through the various nooks and crannies of the moon and thwarts their plans, unbeknownst to the aliens.
Right.
And so he's oftentimes he's a hero in the shadows.
Right.
Yeah, he's I see him as a very sweet character, because when he was a kid, he was abducted,
Right.
And in a lot of ways, it was kind of a good thing because his home life sucked. But yeah, and like I said, he's an homage to Hitchcock. If you ever watch Hitchcock Presents,
Oh yeah.
which was like Hitchcock's Twilight Zone. Essentially, he would be at the beginning of every episode, totally deadpan, like covered in blood. It was like an axe. Welcome. I was like, let's turn the dial up on that guy. That's the man on the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was your favorite story? Did I ask you that, or?
My favorite story was probably the bear.
Oh, you like Werebear?
I like the Werebear. Yeah, because I didn't see it coming, and it just, that full page, that very first full page gore art. Oh my gosh, that hit me, and I was like, this is awesome. So I've got 2 more questions for you. One more about the book and one more fun one.
Okay.
So before readers pick up Moonlake, is there anything that you want them to know before they get right into it?
That I want them to know to get right into it?
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah. Is there anything that you want them to take with them when they're reading it or anything like that?
Yeah. Everything connects. There's Easter eggs in every single, from the very start, from the very, very, you can, it's fun because you can go back and read and say, oh shit, that guy was in that story. And you start to connect dots. And, so there's layers here, it's not just individual stories. Yeah, exactly. And it goes on to, become, like I said, it's like, these are jigsaw puzzle pieces that come together to paint a much larger story. And it's leading toward, an epic, apocalyptic event.
Right.
And where all the characters come together and they have to fight side by side. And so it's all leading toward that. So if you're like, it's an anthology, it's like, no, it's not just an anthology. It's they're all connected. It's a big, big, big epic story with a lot of different characters. And if you're a fan of Lost, like that, it's that kind of story. It's all the characters are connected. Yeah.
Okay, now we just have a fun question.
Okay.
Would you rather fight 1,000 mini Freddy Kruegers or a giant Tyrannosaurus version of Chucky?
Holy fuck. Okay. Chucky. Definitely Chucky.
Definitely Chucky. Why?
There's just one of him. Like, God forbid.
Doesn't matter how big he is, there's just one.
Yeah. Like, God forbid, like one of the Freddy Kruegers got away.
Good point.
Hell, oh God. And then he starts multiplying. Ooh,
yep.
Yeah, I know. That's scary. And he can get into your mind. Can you imagine all those little, they're just scheming to get into your mind? Ooh, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
Chucky is just in this reality, He ain't going to my head. Yeah. Nice.
Well, that's all the questions I have for everybody watching. Moonlake will be available anywhere you buy books this September.
Nice.
And thank you, Dan, for joining us.
My pleasure.
I do wish we could chat longer, but I am having dinner. I am having an old friend for dinner.
Oh.
Yeah. I figured you'd like that.
In like a Hannibal kind of way? Okay. Have fun with that. Make sure you have some Alka-Seltzer afterward.
Oh, yeah, definitely.